Tonight, headlines across the country reveal a growing unease spreading through the industrial heartland. The sense of anxiety is almost tangible, as if the very air in these towns has changed. In the glow of city lights and the quiet of small towns, people are searching for answers in the morning papers and nightly news. Auto giants rethink American dream, one paper boldly declares, its headline echoing the uncertainty felt in countless homes. Over coffee and toast, families digest more than just the news, they're trying to make sense of what it means for their future. Tariff tremors shake factory towns, proclaims another, as financial tickers scroll red and conversations grow more somber. The words leap off the page, but their impact is felt most deeply in the lives behind the headlines. These are not just words. They are the lived reality for thousands of American families. Every headline is a reminder that livelihoods are at stake, and that the ripple effects reach far beyond the factory gates. In towns from Indiana to Alabama, anxiety is taking hold. Main streets that once bustled with activity now feel subdued, as uncertainty seeps into daily routines. The sense of community is strong, but so is the worry about what tomorrow might bring. The foundations of local economies built around automotive assembly lines now feel uncertain. Once these factories symbolized stability and progress, today they stand as reminders of how quickly fortunes can change. Imagine a small-town diner in Georgetown, Kentucky. The clatter of dishes and the aroma of fresh coffee fill the air. But the mood is different now. There's a heaviness in the conversations, a sense that everyone is waiting for the next piece of news. Conversations have shifted from sports and local gossip to worries about the Toyota plant down the road. People wonder aloud about layoffs, about what will happen if the plant slows production, about how their neighbors will cope. Jobs that paid for mortgages, car loans, and college educations now face uncertainty. Families are forced to make tough choices, cutting back on expenses, putting off vacations, and even considering moving away in search of new opportunities. Policies from Washington create tension at kitchen tables. Every new announcement or policy change is dissected and debated, as parents try to shield their children from the stress while quietly worrying about what's next. This story repeats itself in Marysville, Ohio, and Greensburg, Indiana. These towns, like so many others, are bound together by shared hopes and fears, their identities shaped by the factories that have long been their lifeblood. Names like Honda and Toyota are as familiar as Ford or Chevrolet. These brands are more than just cars. They represent jobs, community pride, and the promise of a better life for the next generation. These companies have been community partners for decades, investing in local schools, sponsoring events, and providing steady employment. But now, they face trade disputes and tariffs that threaten to unravel years of progress. The tension is palpable in factory workers' hushed tones and small business owners' nervous glances. Every day brings new rumors, and the uncertainty weighs heavily on everyone, from the assembly line to the corner store. Decisions made in distant Tokyo boardrooms and Washington policy meetings have a direct impact on countless American lives. The fate of entire communities can hinge on a single handshake or a line in a trade agreement. Their future, and the future of their towns, hangs in the balance. As the sun sets over factory rooftops, families hope for stability, for opportunity, and for the American dream to endure through uncertain times. Toyota and Honda face a critical crossroads in America. Their commitment to U.S. manufacturing is tested by unpredictable trade policy. Tariffs have introduced risk and cost, forcing a reassessment of their U.S. strategy. These companies invested billions in American plants and supplier networks. Tariffs on steel, aluminum, and auto parts have upended their strategy. The dilemma: absorb rising costs, pass them to consumers, or scale back U.S. production. Executives are urgently seeking answers, as their decisions will shape American manufacturing's future. The impact will be profound, affecting entire communities. To truly understand the decisions being made today, we need to look back and explore the roots of a unique partnership that has shaped entire communities and industries. The story begins decades ago, when Japanese automakers first set their sights on America, seeking not just new markets but new opportunities for collaboration and growth. In the late 1970s and early 1980s, Japanese automakers faced mounting trade friction with the United States. Headlines warned of economic rivalry and negotiations grew tense as both sides sought to protect their interests. In response, Japanese companies adopted a bold new strategy: build where you sell. This meant investing directly in American soil, hiring American workers, and becoming part of the local fabric. Honda led the way, opening its first U.S. manufacturing plant in Marysville, Ohio, in 1982. This was a groundbreaking moment, signaling a new era of cooperation. Toyota soon followed, establishing its own facility in Georgetown, Kentucky in 1988. These moves were more than just business decisions, they were gestures of trust and long-term commitment. The opening ceremonies were filled with symbolism, American and Japanese flags side by side, executives exchanging gifts, and communities welcoming new partners. These companies invested heavily in struggling American towns, building state-of-the-art factories and introducing innovative lean manufacturing techniques that would soon become industry standards. The impact was immediate and profound. New jobs brought hope to families, and local businesses flourished as workers spent their paychecks in the community. Over the years, these plants became engines of growth, supporting not only auto parts suppliers but also schools, police departments, and countless small businesses that relied on their success. The relationship was truly symbiotic. Companies thrived thanks to a dedicated American workforce, while communities enjoyed the stability and prosperity that came with reliable employers. Today, as new policies and global uncertainties threaten these hard-won partnerships, the sense of loss is deeply felt. The history of collaboration makes the current uncertainty all the more painful, reminding us of what's at stake for both sides. The economic landscape for automakers underwent a dramatic transformation with the introduction of tariffs during the Trump administration. What was once a relatively predictable environment for car manufacturers quickly became a landscape filled with new challenges and risks. Significant taxes on imported steel and aluminum were imposed, directly impacting companies like Toyota and Honda, who rely heavily on these materials for their vehicles. These taxes didn't just affect foreign automakers, American companies also felt the pressure as the cost of raw materials surged. These automakers depend on complex global supply chains to keep production efficient and costs low. As domestic steel prices rose, the entire industry faced higher expenses, forcing companies to rethink their sourcing strategies and pricing models. Additional tariffs on Chinese goods, including essential auto parts, further complicated the situation. Suddenly, the cost and availability of critical components became unpredictable, making it harder for automakers to plan ahead. Building a car in America became significantly more expensive, not just because of the raw materials, but also due to taxes on the many parts sourced from around the world. This increase in production costs was often passed on to consumers, making new cars less affordable. This environment of uncertainty disrupted long-term planning for automakers. Executives and engineers found it increasingly difficult to make decisions about future investments, new models, and hiring. Automakers struggled to adapt to unpredictable tariff announcements, which could change overnight. The lack of clear guidance from policymakers left many companies in a constant state of flux, unsure of what the next day would bring. The policy didn't distinguish between imported cars and those built in America. Even vehicles assembled in the US with global parts were subject to higher costs, blurring the lines between domestic and foreign products. Automakers with significant US manufacturing presence were penalized simply for participating in global supply chains, a necessity in today's interconnected world. Ironically, the policy meant to protect American industry ended up harming some of the nation's largest employers, leading to layoffs, plant closures, and uncertainty for thousands of workers. This instability discouraged much-needed investment and innovation, as companies hesitated to commit resources to new projects in such a volatile environment. Ultimately, a stable and predictable trade policy is crucial for long-term planning and growth. Only with clear rules and consistent policies can automakers confidently invest in the future, create jobs, and drive innovation in the industry. Reducing US production by giants like Toyota and Honda would trigger a ripple effect. The immediate impact would be on jobs, both inside and outside the plant. A slowdown or closure would lead to layoffs across the supply chain. In towns like Greensburg, Indiana, the pain would be felt by workers and local businesses. The impact would spread to the broader community, affecting consumer spending and public services. The loss of a major employer is catastrophic, taking decades to recover. The potential for this in thriving auto towns is a stark reminder of what's at stake. Trade policy decisions have the power to create prosperity or unleash economic pain. The future of entire regions hangs in the balance. Tariffs impact every American buying a new car. Higher manufacturing costs lead to higher car prices. Automakers face a choice: absorb costs or pass them to consumers. A typical car's steel cost increase adds to the vehicle's base cost, Tariffs on components like transmissions and electronics add layers of cost. Studies estimate tariffs could add hundreds to thousands to a new vehicle's price. Higher prices limit consumer choice and affordability. Automakers may discontinue less profitable models, reducing options. The tariffs, meant to help the U.S. economy, act as a tax on families. The impact is felt by every American consumer. Tariffs create peril for American-owned supplier companies. These businesses are the unsung heroes of the auto industry. They manufacture parts delivered to final assembly plants. American suppliers rely on global sources for raw materials. Tariffs on imports raise costs, making them less competitive. If automakers reduce U.S. production, suppliers face order cuts. This forces layoffs and risks business closures. The economic pain radiates outward, hitting smaller American companies. A robust domestic supply chain is essential for a healthy auto industry. Tariffs risk eroding this critical industrial base. Experts warn of long-term risks to American innovation and competitiveness. The global auto industry is transforming, requiring massive R&D investment. Tariff costs divert funds from innovation, risking U.S. leadership. Competitors in Europe and Asia invest in future technology. An unstable business environment discourages R&D investment in the U.S. Protectionist policies weaken industries they aim to protect. Competition drives efficiency and innovation. Disrupting global trade networks undermines America's position. A more effective strategy involves setting fair global trade rules. The current path jeopardizes America's economic leadership. The story of Toyota, Honda, and tariffs is a lesson in economic policy consequences. It highlights the delicate balance of the global economy. The path forward requires stability, predictability, and foresight. Industry leaders call for clarity and consistent rules. A stable trade policy allows long-term investment decisions. Moving away from tariffs as a primary tool is crucial. Modern manufacturing relies on global supply chains. A smart policy strengthens America's position within these chains. The goal is to create policies that help American workers and communities. By choosing stability and partnership, the American auto industry can thrive.